Being a Sigma isn't always easy. Sometimes it's like you're from a different planet. The judgmental stares, gossip behind your back, and that occasional feeling of being the odd one out, even in familiar surroundings you know so well. All those who have a Sigma personality are people who like to do things their own way, not just follow the crowd. This can make them seem strange or weird to others. They don't seem to care much about what others think about them. But that doesn't mean they don't go through some strange experiences. From how people stare at them to how they are perceived, here are 10 weird things every Sigma male goes through. Number 1. People staring at them like they'd committed a crime. It's not uncommon for Sigma men to feel like they're being constantly watched or judged, even in the most mundane situations. They get a lot of weird looks, even though they haven't done anything wrong. People just find them different, so they can't help but stare. It's like being under constant surveillance. People are always trying to figure Sigmas out, but since they have such a unique personality, most people can't understand these individuals, so they tend to judge and stare, which can be quite frustrating. It's not because Sigma men are a threat, but because their independence is a bit intimidating. People see these guys as a challenge to the status quo. They don't fit into the defined social norms, and that can make others uncomfortable. This gives them the impression of breaking the rules or doing something wrong, which leads to constant stares. Number 2. Men envying them, but also wanting to be like them. Some guys secretly wish they could be a Sigma. They might not openly admit it, but deep down, they look up to Sigma men and even envy their free-spirited nature. These men are often stuck in their typical lifestyle, craving the kind of freedom that Sigmas have. But at the same time, these guys also resent Sigmas because they don't understand how they can remain so independent and unattached to society. It's a love-hate relationship, and sometimes it can be tricky to navigate. Sigma men may not have many close friends or followers, but they still attract attention. They are often seen as mysterious and elusive, which is part of what makes them so attractive to others, even if they don't always understand their ways. Many women also find Sigma men to be intriguing and unpredictable, which adds to the envy and fascination from other men. While Sigma men may not be the most popular, they still have a certain magnetism that draws people towards them. Number 3. Being judged just for being different. Everyone faces judgment at some point in their lives. But when you're a Sigma, it can feel like you're constantly being judged just for being who you are. People might view you as odd or weird because you don't do things the same way as everyone else. They may even question your choices, lifestyle, or values because they don't align with theirs. Being different can be challenging, especially when people are quick to label you and put you in a box. While Sigma men may not care about fitting in, it can still be exhausting to constantly face judgment for simply being true to themselves. But the upside is that it also weeds out the people who are not meant to be part of their lives. Those who accept them and appreciate their unique qualities are the ones worth keeping around. There's a saying that goes, "Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." This rings true for Sigma men who often find themselves surrounded by a small but genuine circle of friends. Number 4. Being underestimated or not taken seriously by others. While it may seem surprising, Sigma men are often underestimated or not taken seriously by others. Imagine you're trying to share your out-of-the-box idea, but instead of getting excited, others laugh or don't believe you. This is what happens to these individuals. Because they don't follow the crowd and think differently, people sometimes don't take their ideas seriously. This can feel pretty frustrating, especially when those same ideas are later accepted and even praised by others. While Sigma men don't need the validation of others, it can still be disappointing not to be taken seriously, especially by those close to them. People tend to trust and listen to those who fit into their idea of normality, but this often means missing out on groundbreaking ideas and perspectives. Being underestimated isn't always a negative thing. While others may think they have you all figured out, They only scratch the surface of your profound thoughts, strategic mindset, and untapped potential hidden beneath your calm exterior. This often gives Sigma men an advantage, as they can work under the radar without attracting too much attention or pressure. Number 5. Being seen as a threat by those who are intimidated by their independence. People have a certain comfort in predictability. They like the safety net of knowing what to expect, who will conform, and who will play by the rules. Sigma men disrupt this sense of security, and that can be threatening to those who are used to being in control or having power over others. They see Sigma men as unpredictable wild cards that cannot be controlled or manipulated, and that scares them. It's easier for these people to label these men as a problem or a threat rather than try to understand and accept their unconventional ways. This is why Sigma men often find themselves targeted or ostracized by others who feel threatened by their independence and confidence. They become an easy target for those who want to maintain the status quo and keep everyone in line. Sigma men don't necessarily want to cause trouble or be seen as a threat, but their mere existence challenges societal norms and expectations. And for some people, that's enough to feel uncomfortable and threatened. So they point fingers and label Sigmas as problematic or difficult when they are just living their lives on their own terms. Number 6. Being labeled as elusive or hard to pin down. Sigma men are called elusive, which is a fancy way of saying they are hard to figure out. People don't understand them because they keep to themselves and don't always act as expected. They have a way of blending in and standing out at the same time, which makes it difficult for others to define them. They have a low-key presence and often don't seek attention, but this also makes others notice them. Unsurprisingly, Sigma men are often seen as a mystery, even by those who know them well. These individuals also have a poker face, making reading their emotions and thoughts challenging. Many call them cold or unemotional, but they are just selective about who they open up to and how much of themselves they reveal. Sigma men are known for their guarded nature and don't let just anyone in. They value their privacy, and it takes time and effort to earn their trust. So while they may be labeled as elusive, Sigma men are just careful about who they let into their inner world. It's not that they don't have deep emotions or thoughts, they just don't show it to everyone. And those who do get to know them on a deeper level often find themselves pleasantly surprised by their complexity and depth. Number 7. Spotting trends before everyone else catches on. Sigmas don't spend their time glued to fashion magazines or endlessly scrolling through social media feeds, desperately trying to keep up. However, they can spot trends before others even notice them. It's like having a sixth sense for what's about to become popular, whether it's a new style, technology, or idea. Sigma men are independent thinkers who analyze every single detail of their surroundings. They are curious and observant, always looking for patterns and connections. This allows them to see the bigger picture and anticipate what's coming next, while others are too busy following the latest craze. This puts Sigmas in a position of being trendsetters rather than followers. And while they may not actively seek recognition for it, their ability to spot trends early on is just another example of how different and ahead of the game these men can be. Whether they realize it or not, their unconventional thoughts and ways of living allow them to see what others cannot. So even though being a Sigma comes with its challenges, there are also many perks and advantages that come with having this unique personality. Number 8. Feeling like an outsider even in familiar social settings. Sigma men often feel like they're on the outside looking in, even in places they know well or with people they've known for a long time. It's like being a bird perched on a window, watching the world go by, but not really being part of it. They are there, but they just don't feel like they fit in. It's not that they're unhappy or don't want to be there. They just see the world differently, making them feel like they're standing on the edge of things, not right in the middle. They often wonder if they are the only ones who see things the way they do. While this isn't the best feeling in the world, It's also not something these guys are unfamiliar with. They have learned to embrace their outsider status and find comfort in being unique. It's what makes them stand out and excel in areas where others may struggle. So even though they may sometimes feel like outsiders, it's part of having this rare personality type. Being different is not necessarily a bad thing, especially in this day and age where everyone is trying so hard to fit in. Number 9. Their high confidence can make others a bit uncomfortable. Confidence is usually seen as a good thing, but it can also intimidate or make others uncomfortable. While Sigma men exude confidence, it's not something they actively seek out or boast about. It's just a byproduct of their independence and self-sufficiency. They are comfortable in their own skin and don't need others' approval to feel good about themselves. This can come across as intimidating or arrogant to some people, but it's just how Sigma men are naturally wired. They are not trying to prove anything to anyone, and their confidence is not a show. It's just who they are. This can make some people feel insecure or threatened because Sigmas don't need validation from others like most people do. They have already validated themselves. And for those who are used to being the center of attention or having power over others, this can be a difficult pill to swallow. While Sigma men don't intentionally try to make others uncomfortable, their confidence and self-assuredness can sometimes have that effect. But it's not something they need to apologize for or change about themselves. It's just a side effect of being true to who they are. Number 10. Finding it hard to relate to traditional masculinity. Most guys see alpha males as their role models and try to emulate them in some way. They think that being an alpha means being the ultimate man, and they strive to achieve that status. While there's nothing wrong with being an alpha, it's not something that Sigma men aspire to. Being a man shouldn't be defined by how tough or dominant you are, but society often equates masculinity with traditional alpha traits, leaving Sigma men feeling like they don't quite fit in with the stereotypical idea of manliness. This isn't to say that Sigmas aren't masculine. They have their own unique version of masculinity, but not in an opposite or competitive way to alphas. While alpha males may thrive on power and status, Sigma males focus more on personal growth and individuality. They don't feel the need to constantly assert their dominance or prove their masculinity because they are secure in who they are. This can make them appear less manly in the traditional sense, but that's just another stereotype that these men break. They are comfortable with being different and don't feel the need to conform to societal norms to be considered masculine. While many guys are trying to prove their manliness through physical strength and displays of power, Sigma men prefer to rely on their intelligence, creativity, and independence. Sure, this doesn't mean they are not physically fit or capable of being assertive when needed, but those traits don't define them as men.